They say the first home you buy should be for yourself. But when I signed the papers on that duplex just outside Santa Clara, I wasn't thinking about granite countertops or walk-in closets. I was thinking about my parents. I'm Clara Ramirez. 34, engineer, no kids, no husband, just blueprints, deadlines, and a family that always said I was the one who'd figure it out. Dad had lost his job 18 months ago. Mom's part-time hours at the library barely kept their lights on. Their apartment lease was expiring, and I couldn't stand the thought of them being displaced or, God forbid, moving in with my younger brother Luca and his girlfriend Sienna in their shoebox one-bedroom. So I offered them the back unit. No rent. Just stability. When I first handed them the keys, my mother blinked at the front porch like it was a trap. "This is too much," she said, running her hand along the railing. "It's not charity," I told her. "Think of it as investing, in peace." Dad stayed quiet as usual, nodding with that resigned look he wore when he didn't want to argue. They moved in the next day. For a little while, it was perfect. Mom planted basil and rosemary in the backyard. Dad fixed the loose floorboards on both sides. We started having Sunday breakfast together, like we used to when I was a kid. I'd leave for work and wave to her in the garden. I'd come home and see new flowers, cleaner gutters, tiny signs that maybe, just maybe, we were healing something that had frayed years ago. I thought this was what it meant to come full circle. To be the strong one, to give back, to finally feel like a family again. I didn't know it yet, but this wasn't a full circle. It was a slow spiral, and I was standing at the top. It started with a compliment. "Your kitchen catches the morning." "Light so beautifully," Mom said one Sunday over coffee, her eyes drifting to the bay window in my unit. I smiled. "They're mirror images, Mommy." Not exactly," she murmured, stirring her cup. "Yours faces east. It just feels warmer." I didn't think much of it, until the next weekend. "You have more counter space than we do," she said, eyeing the granite near my stove. I raised an eyebrow. I measured. "They're the same." She shrugged. "Maybe. But yours feels bigger. They were just observations, right? Casual, passing, harmless. But once you hear the same note enough times, it starts to sound like a pattern. Next week, she asked if she could store her mixer in my pantry because hers was a little cramped. Then came the basil. She insisted the sunlight was better in my windowsill and moved her herb pots over, without asking. Dad never said much, but he started fixing things more on my side than theirs. Recocking, rehanging, repainting as if they were already mentally shifting space. It was Rosa, my best friend, who finally said it out loud over lunch at work. "Clara, they're conditioning you." I laughed. Conditioning me for what? For guilt. For giving in. That's what people do before they take something. They soften you. I pushed my salad around and tried to brush it off. "They're just adjusting. This is new for all of us." She gave me that look, the one that said, "You sweet idiot," without ever saying the words. That night, as I watered the basil on my kitchen counter, my kitchen, I found myself staring at the layout again. Same floor plan, same square footage. So why did it suddenly feel like I was the guest? The first true. Crack didn't come with yelling. It came in the form of a pamphlet. I'd just gotten home from work, late, exhausted, and went to drop my keys on the counter when I saw it, creating the perfect nursery. Soft yellow walls, white furniture, a plush giraffe in the corner. I'm not married, I'm not dating, I'm not pregnant. That pamphlet wasn't mine. I picked it up like it was radioactive. "Mommy?" I called, stepping toward the door that connected our units. She didn't come over, just called back casually through the wall. "See me, huh? Did you come into my place today?" Just for a second. I was looking for the measuring tape. Thought you might have had it. I held up the glossy brochure. "What's this?" There was a pause. A beat too long. "Oh, that must be Sienna's. She and Luca dropped by earlier. She wanted to see the layout, you know. They're thinking of starting a family." The air in. My chest went thin. "They were in my unit?" "Just for a moment," she replied. like it was nothing. Don't be dramatic. We're family. That word, family, it used to mean belonging. Now it sounded like a trap. I didn't respond. I just walked back to my kitchen and stared at the nursery photo on the pamphlet. There, printed in soft pastels, was a vision of a future planned inside my walls. Without me. My phone buzzed. It was a DM from Rosa. "Girl, you need to see what Sienna just posted." The link opened to an Instagram story. There she was, twirling in my master bathroom. Caption: Future home tour. I watched it 3 times. Then I watched it again with the volume up. In the background, I could hear Elena's voice saying something about the walk-in closet being perfect for a crib. My hands started shaking. I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't imagining it. They weren't just invading my space. They were preparing to replace me in it. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at my bedroom ceiling, the faint glow from my hallway casting long shadows across the room. The same room Sienna twirled through, camera in hand, calling it hers. By morning, I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was blank. I drove straight to the hardware store after work and bought a motion sensor camera. Small, discreet, mounted just above the front door of my unit, facing inward. I told no one. The next day, during a boring project briefing at work, my phone pinged. Motion detected. 2:17 p.m. Live feed. Oni opened the app and nearly dropped my phone. There they were, my father and my brother, inside my living room. Raoul stood watch near the door while Luca knelt by the window with a measuring tape. "She's definitely still at work," Raoul muttered. "We just need to check wall length," Luca replied. "Sienna wants a king bed, and a space for the bassinet." Turned up the volume. My heart thundered in my ears. "Mom says Clara will come around," Luca added. "She always does." Then he laughed. "Remember when she gave me her car in college, that old Toyota, said she didn't need it for her internship?" "Your mother convinced her," Raoul said, chuckling. "You needed it more, for pizza deliveries." Good times. They moved to my bedroom. "Think we can knock out this wall for a walk-in nursery?" "Don't push your luck." I closed the app. The bile rose to my throat. They weren't just assuming. They were planning, sketching out a future they had no right to, inside a home they didn't pay for, that I'd sacrificed years for. And the worst part? They didn't even ask, because they thought they didn't need to. That night, Rosa found me in the parking lot behind our office, sitting in her car in stunned silence. "You okay?" she asked. I showed her the footage, her jaw clenched. "Okay," she said, turning the ignition. "No more being the good daughter. It's time to be the smart one." I didn't yell. I didn't confront. I didn't even reply to Luca's "Oops, wrong chat" text. Instead, I saved everything. The video, the message, the Instagram story, even the nursery pamphlet. Then I called Rosa. She picked up after one ring. "Time to move?" she asked, already knowing. "Time to sell," I said. That's when she gave me the name. Victor Kingsley, a real estate agent who specialized in off-market investment deals. Slick, quiet, fast. We met the next afternoon. His office smelled like leather and espresso, and he wore a suit that probably cost more than my entire backyard renovation. "Miss Ramirez," he greeted me with a calm, rehearsed smile. "I represent Reed Scott Investments. We're acquiring multi-unit properties in your neighborhood. Yours is well-maintained, updated, and, most importantly, has no tenant leases to terminate." I nodded, trying to keep my hands steady. "We're prepared to make a significant offer, above market value, full cash, no inspections. But there's one condition." "Both units need to be vacant," I said. He tilted his head slightly. "Correct. Is that something you can manage?" I didn't answer right away. I looked out his glass office window and saw a reflection of myself I barely recognized. Not the good daughter, not the backup parent. Just a woman who'd been pushed too far and finally decided to push back. "How long do I have?" I asked. 3 weeks to close. 2 to deliver both units empty." I nodded again. Slower this time. My mind already sketching timelines the way I used to draft structural beams. Can you send me the paperwork? I asked. Discretion is important. I need to control when they find out. He smiled as he slid a folder across the table. We're experts in discretion. When the hammer drops, it drops all at once. I opened the folder. The figure on the first page made my stomach tighten. It was more than enough to buy peace. Maybe, for the first time in my life. The night I hosted dinner, I set the table with linen napkins and my grandmother's silverware. They thought I was being sentimental. I was just marking the end. Luca brought a bottle of wine, the cheap kind he thought. Looked expensive. Sienna was glowing, already dressed in soft, neutral tones like she belonged in a Pinterest board titled Modern Mama. My mother took over the kitchen the moment she arrived, seasoning the pasta sauce like she owned the place. My father sat, silently sipping beer, already pretending this was home. We've been talking, Mom said between bites. And if you're truly okay with the swap, we'd love to start repainting soon. Nina has a nursery mood board ready. I smiled. Not too much, just enough to look agreeable. Of course. Family first, right? Sienna clapped, literally clapped. She pulled out her phone and started showing me color palettes. Pale yellows, mint greens, cream walls. Her voice was high, too cheerful, like she had already forgotten this was my kitchen, my table, my plates. We could do the switch by the end of the month, Mom added. Give you time to settle into the back unit before the baby furniture arrives. Luca leaned back in his chair and raised his glass. To Clara, the most generous sister in the world. I raised mine too. To timing, I said quietly. They had no idea. Boxes of my belongings were already in storage. My new condo was under contract. The locks were changed last week. And in my email inbox sat the signed preliminary sale agreement. After they left, Mom lingered at the door. You're making the right decision. You'll understand someday, when you have children. I nodded and watched her walk into the back unit. Then I closed my front door and crossed one more item off my to-do list. Host final family dinner. Done. The notices went up at exactly 9 a.m. I had set an alarm just to watch it happen. 2 sheets of paper taped neatly to each unit door. Notice of sale and vacancy. 3 weeks to vacate. I watched from my window as it began. My mother opened the door first. She stared at the paper like it was written in a foreign language, then yanked it down with shaking hands. Then came the banging. Clara, open this door right now. I took a breath. I counted to 5. Then I opened the door. She shoved the paper in my face. What is this? Some kind of joke? I pretended to read it, slowly. Looks like a notice. I got one too. Sienna appeared behind her, pale and blinking. They sold the building? They can't just sell it. This is our... She stopped mid-sentence. Our what? Our future? Our baby's first nursery? Our stolen fantasy? Luca barreled up the walkway, phone already in hand. This can't be legal. I'm calling a lawyer. Just... Then, a sleek black car pulled into the driveway. Victor Kingsley stepped out in a gray suit, briefcase in hand. Perfect timing. Good morning, he said, his voice calm like morning radio. I represent Reed Scott Investments. I trust you've received our notices? My father stepped out last, face drained of color. This has to be a mistake. Clara owns this property. Kingsley smiled with just the right amount of pity. Formerly. The sale was finalized last week. Luca grabbed the paperwork and flipped through the pages. These are dated 2 weeks ago. You knew about this? I kept my expression blank. I got the same offer you're holding. It was too good to pass up. Sienna looked like she might faint. My mother turned white. You sold it without telling us? Like how you tried to give away my unit without asking me? No one spoke. Not even Luca. Kingsley broke the silence. You have 21 days to vacate. Reed Scott appreciates your cooperation. I closed the door gently and smiled. They didn't knock again that day. Instead, they circled like wounded animals. I saw them through the window, my father pacing the backyard with the eviction notice crumpled in his fist. My mother on the phone, voice low and sharp. Luca yelling at someone, probably the lawyer who just confirmed the contract was airtight. Sienna sat on the porch steps, holding back tears with trembling hands. That night, I stepped outside with a glass of water and leaned against the railing just as they emerged from their unit. Luca was the first to speak. "So this is it? You're just kicking us out?" I didn't answer. I looked at my mother. "You planned this," she said. "You're no longer our daughter." I didn't flinch. "I stopped feeling like your daughter the moment you started measuring my bedroom for a crib I didn't agree to." Sienna's voice cracked. "We had everything planned. Planned with what wasn't yours," I said. "In a home you didn't pay for, that I built, that I maintained." My father stepped forward, his voice thin. "Clara, we thought you'd understand. Luca needs a chance. Sienna's expecting." I raised an eyebrow. "Expecting what?" "That I'd hand over my life because you raised me to carry theirs?" Luca looked stunned. "You've always had everything together. The job, the house. We just wanted a future." "Then build one," I said, my voice steady. "Like I did, without stealing it." Sienna turned away. She couldn't look at me. "You're selfish," my mother hissed. "You'd rather sell our home to strangers than help your family." "It was never your home," I said quietly. "You were guests, and guests don't draw up nursery plans behind closed doors." There was silence, thick, suffocating. Kingsley's car pulled into the driveway again. He stepped out, handed them information packets, listings, moving services, all neatly arranged. "Reed Scott Investments appreciates your timely relocation." They didn't speak, just stood there, holding the consequences of their assumptions. Turned back toward my door, not with triumph, but with peace. Denial didn't die quietly in my family. It went down kicking and screaming. Luca was the first to fight back. He tried to serve me with lawsuit papers, claiming emotional damage and verbal agreements. His lawyer read the sale contract, looked at the camera footage, and walked out of the room without saying a word. Sienna posted cryptic Instagram stories for 2 days, black and white photos of nursery paint chips with sad piano music in the background. By day 3, she deleted them all and unfollowed me. I heard from Rosa that she'd moved back in with her parents. Apparently, she told Luca, "I'm not raising a child with a man who can't even keep a key to his own future." My mother blocked my number. My father still replied to holiday messages, one word at a time. Received. Thanks. Noted. No apology, no explanation. Which was fine, because I wasn't asking. I moved into my condo 3 days after the final walkthrough. The deposit from Reed Scott cleared instantly, and I'd paid for the entire place in cash. No mortgage, no shared walls, no connecting door. Rosa came by the second night with wine. "Feels different, doesn't it?" I nodded. Quieter, lighter, our arm. Looked around. No basil on the windowsill, no mismatched welcome mats, no one pretending your life is theirs. "No spare key under the mat," I added. That made her smile. Luca tried one last thing, a voice memo in the group chat we hadn't used in months. "You ruined everything. We were supposed to raise our kid there. You'll regret this someday." I didn't respond, but I played the message twice, not because it hurt. Because it confirmed something I'd been waiting to hear. He still didn't get it. They weren't just losing the house. They were losing the last version of me who would have ever made room for them. The sun hit differently in the new place. Not through gauzy curtains or a garden-facing window. Through glass, floor to ceiling, sweeping across the 12th floor, pouring over clean hardwood and untouched paint. I stood there barefoot, coffee in hand, watching the city wake up. Rosa arrived with croissants and almond milk, still in her gym clothes. "This place is disgusting," she said, mouthful. Like, in the best way possible. I laughed, for real this time. The guilt was gone. Not numbed, not buried. Gone. The kind of guilt that kept me quiet when I should have drawn boundaries. That convinced me being needed was the same as being loved. That told me family meant sacrifice, even if it cost me myself. Rosa handed me her phone. "Look, You're internet famous. Sienna's last Instagram post was gone. So was every tagged photo from the house. The mood board, the nursery. Progress, all deleted. Like none of it had ever existed. Worried what the new boyfriend might think? I asked. Rosa smirked. More like worried what her sponsors might think. The comment section turned on her. Fast. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt free. That night, I lit a candle. Just one. In the center of my quiet new space. No one rearranged my furniture. No one measured my walls. No one told me what I should give up next. My phone buzzed. It was a number I didn't recognize. The text read, "It's Dad. Your mother won't. Admit it, but she misses you." I stared at it for a while. I didn't cry. I didn't reply. Instead, I typed a note to myself in my journal. They miss the version of me who gave until it hurt. I don't. Rosa poured more wine and raised her glass. To views like this. And freedom. I touched my glass to hers and thought, maybe this is what it feels like to finally come home. 2 weeks after I moved out, I ran into my mother at the grocery store. She was in the canned soup aisle comparing prices, no makeup, hair pulled back. She looked smaller, or maybe that's just how people appear when they're no longer standing on your shoulders. She pretended not to see me. I didn't say anything either, just kept walking. Later that night, my phone lit up again. Same number. It's Dad. We made mistakes. Big ones. I waited, stared at the blinking cursor, but nothing else came. It was the most honest thing he'd ever sent me. Rosa and I sat on my balcony that night, the skyline glowing beneath us. She handed me her tablet. They listed your old duplex. Reed Scott had gutted both units. Fresh floors, modern paint. Listed at double the price they paid me. Think they'll fight it? She asked. I shook my head. They already lost. This isn't about money. She raised an eyebrow. Then what is it? Legacy, I said. They thought stealing my space would secure their future, but the only thing they passed down was entitlement. Sienna had moved back in with her parents. Rumor had it she broke things off with Luca for good. He still hadn't found a new job. Or a place. The last text I got from him was a drunken apology. Something about being just scared of starting from zero. And my parents? They were renting a one-bedroom in a rundown building across town. Mom took a part-time job at a senior center. Dad was driving a delivery van at night. No more garden. No more back unit. No more plans for someone else's nursery. They weren't homeless, just humbled. And for once, I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel like rescuing anyone. I'd done enough of that to last a lifetime. Do you miss them? Rosa asked. I thought for a moment. I miss who I thought they were, I said, but not who they showed me they are. Some losses don't come with grief, some come with clarity, not mine, theirs. I watched from the sidewalk as the last of their belongings were packed into a dented rental truck. Raoul's recliner, Elena's pressure cooker, a cheap plastic bin, full of mismatched baby items Sienna never got to use. No hugs, no goodbyes, just the sound of resentment being taped shut in cardboard. Rosa stood beside me, holding iced coffee and quiet satisfaction. They're still not speaking to you? She asked. Luca tried, I said. His lawyer dropped him. Sienna blocked him. Now he sends one-word texts like Dad does. Mostly, sorry. She raised her brow. And your mom? She pretends I never existed, I said. But she still checks who watches her stories. We walked through the empty duplex one last time. The walls were bare. The nursery mood board still taped to the bedroom corner, curling at the edges. I peeled it off slowly, paint samples in pastel pink. A photo of a crib. Sienna's caption in the corner. Baby girl deserves the best start, in a home filled with love. I folded it and tossed it into the trash. The new owners would never know what almost happened here, what was nearly taken, what was quietly reclaimed. Outside, the city buzzed with the rhythm of people minding their own lives, something my family had never quite mastered. Rosa turned to me, keys in hand. Ready to drop these off to Kingsley? I nodded. No spares, no copies, no hidden ones under the mat. She smirked. You really mean it this time. This time, I said, home won't have a back door for guilt to sneak through. That night, I stood on the balcony of my condo, lights from the skyline twinkling like quiet applause. My phone buzzed with a final message from Dad. Your mother still sets the table for 3. I stared at it. Didn't reply. Just turned the phone face down. Some messages don't need answers, some homes don't need spare keys, and some daughters finally choose to lock the door behind them, for good. Have you ever been taken for granted by your own family? Drop your story in the comments, or just say, no spare key, if you understand exactly how Clara feels.